Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We have another case of self-defense for you guys today, and this one even comes with a happy ending, at least for the intended victim. For the assailant, not so much. This story is interesting as it also highlights the work done by one of my sponsors, Attorneys on Retainer. Now, with any of these programs or companies that claim to help people when they use their guns in self-defense, there's always the question of, yeah, but do they really? So I figured that this would be a good case to bring to you guys. Now, as you know, Attorneys on Retainer is a program put out by the Attorneys for Freedom law firm specifically to help gun owners that find themselves in a self-defense situation, no matter where the incident takes place. They cover everything from felonies and appeals to bail bonds, and really the only qualifier is that you're part of the program and acted in good faith. And if, by the end of this video, their program is something that you're interested in, my code LibertyDoll will get you $50 off your individual sign-up, so be sure to check that info out down in the description. So, this incident originally happened back in April in the Oak Cliff area of Dallas around 6 a.m. The intended victim, Ryan, was driving to an appointment, driving a nice Tesla through an apparently crappy neighborhood, when the car behind him suddenly sped up and crashed into him. They weren't at a stop sign or traffic lights, so he thought that this was pretty weird, but did what you do in this situation and pulled over to talk to the guy in the other car. Ryan said that he didn't really have any damage to his car, but the other guy insisted that his car was really messed up, so Ryan took out his phone so that they could exchange information. At this point, as he was looking through his phone, the other guy, 26-year-old Datwan Giddings, pulled out a gun and jammed it into Ryan's side and demanded all his money. Ryan gave it to him, gave him his wallet, but says that Giddings didn't drop the gun or leave and instead started shoving him towards the back of his car. At this point, Ryan recognized that this situation had gone from really bad to worse, lifted his shirt, pulled out his gun, and fired 4 times, saying that each time he fired, he just hoped that Giddings would drop the gun. Unfortunately, he did not. So he fired until Giddings went down. Luckily for him, he had installed dash cams on the car and caught this interaction on video.
Yeah, we sent tape.
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. You gonna have to run this shit. Hey, if you don't do shit, give me your money, everything before you get shot. Do it quick. Or I'll take your car. No, give me that box. Where that box is, you at? In the back.
And now here is a clip of Ryan describing the incident.
He still kept pushing the gun into me. And that was very much concerned. Like, I realized that if I didn't do something, he was most likely going to shoot me. So when I think he was trying to pull me around or push me to the back of my trunk to either get something out of it, not sure what he wanted at that point. It was hard to understand him because I was very much high adrenaline, pounding my ears, that kind of thing. So at that point, I knew that I had to do something. So I pulled my shirt when he pushed me up against the car. I pulled my shirt up, grabbed my firearm, and turned around and fired 4 times. And I mean, each shot felt very slow. And I watched to see if the barrel of the gun would go down, if he would not continue to try to point it at me. Because I really didn't want to do that. Every shot was just not something I wanted to do. I was hoping that he would drop his gun, but he did not. So after that happened, I was very much in shock. I went deaf because this is very loud. So I ran up the hill to call 911 at the McDonald's.
And bless him, possibly a better person than me, tried to perform life-saving measures on the guy that just robbed him and threatened to kill him.
And then ran back down the hill, and I saw him, and I thought he might live if I did something. So I went to help him, to see if it might be possible. I found my phone, called 911, and tried to do life-saving as best I could.
Once the police and paramedics came, he called his family, who reminded him of his AOR membership, and his mother called AOR on his behalf. Meanwhile, Giddings was pronounced dead at the scene. Police marked it as a homicide, arrested Ryan, and his car and phone were taken as evidence. Now, after the fact, this seems pretty cut and dry, but according to police, there were no witnesses. They went and interviewed everyone at the McDonald's, none of which saw the incident and went on their way. But AOR contacted a local defense attorney, put their team on it, and sent out a private investigator who found out that there was one McDonald's employee who had left their shift early and had actually witnessed the entire thing. They saw Giddings attack Ryan and him respond in self-defense. Using that information and the dash cam footage, which for some reason the police didn't automatically check, they were able to get him out of jail that same day. They held a big meeting with several attorneys and the police and were even able to convince the cops to give Ryan his car and phone back, which is pretty impressive to me, honestly. They continued their work and ran some background checks and found out that, despite all of the memorials now out there for Giddings claiming that he was full of love and compassion and generosity and just a good egg taken by a senseless act of gun violence, he had a criminal history full of theft and aggravated assault. His Facebook page is still up and features photos of him pulling guns out of his pants, brandishing firearms in parking lots and bathrooms while holding fists full of money. And honestly, he seems to have a lot of cash in his photos for someone who was supposedly working at the Apple Store. His page also now features complaints from friends that he was murdered by a Trump supporter. Now, the city still threatens to send everything to a grand jury because apparently in Texas, even if it looks pretty clearly like self-defense, it still gets sent to the prosecutor and grand jury to decide on charges. But the attorneys sent a long letter listing out all of the evidence they gathered in favor of Ryan, all the legal defenses, and the records they'd found on Giddings, and said, hey, well, then all of this stuff is stuff that we're going to bring up to the grand jury. The prosecutor then decided it was a case they couldn't win and actually dropped all the charges. The entry for Giddings in the Dallas police murder list has now been marked as justifiable homicide. As for Ryan, he says that his story is proof of a few things. Number one, how important it is to have lawyers on your side in one of these situations. Number two, the importance of dash cams in your car. And number three, the importance of practicing and range time. He says that he goes to the range with his dad every weekend, puts a few hundred rounds through his firearm, practices drawing, and if not for that, he might not have gotten out of this situation. So again, not a happy ending for the assailant here, but definitely a happy ending for the legal gun owner, and it's nice to share these stories sometimes about self-defense incidents, because we always hear about the bad stuff and we don't hear about the good stuff. So, in light of that, that is it for this video. Please do all of the algorithm things, you know what they are, and as always, thanks for tuning in, stay safe out there, and happy shooting.